Just a friendly reminder that the opinions expressed on this show are not worth a Canadian penny, so disregard anything you hear that might get anyone in trouble. And despite some of the great ideas you may hear, don't try them at home. Go to a friend's house instead.
It's time to get a gun. That's what I've been thinking. Well, I could afford one. And if I did just a little less drinking, time to put something between me and the sun. When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.
Hey everyone, welcome to Slimefire Radio, episode 348 for April 2nd, 2020. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly Lynn.
I'm Adrian Show.
Time to get a gun. I am Random Dave.
Randomly coming in.
We still have to sing that, by the way. I want one night after we do the show, we're going to actually sing that whole thing. We'll cue
We're
up the
gonna
lyrics,
record
we'll
it?
sing it. Yeah, we'll record it.
All right. I think that we should do that. I think it needs to
I'll have
happen
to
when I have a
synchronize
better...
it in with the song. Have the song in
Yeah.
the background. Backing us
Totally.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Neat.
We know a guy. Maybe we can get the straight up instrumental version.
Mm.
Oh, that'd be awesome if we
Yeah.
could. We could reach out to him. Do we still have to pay royalties? Oh, we don't pay royalties for it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Couldn't afford it. We do. We pay a certain percentage of what everyone else gets paid here.
That's nothing.
Yes,
You divide
it
by
is.
zero.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
So it's what we can afford. So,
Mhm.
yeah. All right. Why don't we do what we did in
And up on
Guns?
Patreon.
What?
There'll be a Patreon. So we can afford to have a new song.
No, I like our song. It's awesome.
I like it too, but we need to commission it. Anyway. Hey,
All
go
right.
ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So what we did in Guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center. It's Canada's premier firearms retailer. Right now, what they have in stock is the Remington Law Enforcement double aught buckshot. So right now, Remington Law Enforcement TAC 8 double aught buck? Is that it? How you say it? Buckshot?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
double up.
Ammo is designed with the police departments in mind. So its performance is featured basically as ideal conditions with shotguns for the police. So it means like never being cleaned, being, just thrown in the squad car. No, they don't really throw it into a squad car. They put it in
Yeah.
gently, but it is getting used.
They lock it up on some weird lockup thing that you could probably pick
Yeah.
with like a bobby pin.
Nah, yeah, I don't know if they really do lock it up because when they need to access it really quickly, they need to be able to get it off there really quickly.
I've
so.
seen CSI episodes. They lock it up and then nobody can get it out of the car when they need it.
Okay, this is on CSI,
Yeah, it's on
so that's
CSI.
totally true, right? It's on
Oh,
TV.
100%. All their computer stuff is realistic too. I don't scream at my TV at all when it comes on.
All right, the load is tailored for basically defense use for shotguns. So in your home, if you're going to be using it, it's tailored for defense. The Remington TAC 8 buckshot is available in standard or magnum, loads, and provides reliability, consistency, and stopping power you need when the shotgun comes out. Yeah, baby. So Remington Law Enforcement TAC 8 it comes packaged in two types. It comes packaged in boxes of 5 rounds or in cases of 250. The 5 round is $9, and so you get 5 basically shots, or you can actually pay $399 for a case of 250. So that's what's on sale right now at the Calgary Shooting Center. Are you guys gonna buy any of this? Well, I shouldn't ask you that. That's kind of like,
Buckshot?
I highly recommend that all of our listeners go and buy 5 cases immediately. As for myself, every time I see double aught buckshot, I say, why am I not firing a slug? So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really like subscribe to the whole like over penetration thing. So AR-15s all the way for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
baby.
exactly.
Pistols for
that
nothing,
too.
shotguns for nothing, AR-15s for everything.
But
No,
you know
you're-
what? Just to go, that means people are going to pay attention, right? If they're breaking
Yeah,
into your
slugs.
house.
Double tap
Slugs.
raises someone's attention too.
Yeah. And the other question I always have with the rack of the shotgun is if you're confronting somebody in your house, it's already locked and loaded, safety's on, fingers on the trigger. I'm not racking
True.
anything. If
Yeah.
they hear the rack, they didn't hear that first shot. So,
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah. Okay, why don't we talk about what we did in guns this week? Because I know that we have a whole bunch. Adriel, why don't we start with you?
Oh, I did something in guns.
Yeah,
I
what
did
did
something
you
in
do?
guns today. I bought some AR-10 mags from Denis because
Sweet.
he had the 1010s and I wanted some of those. I also want some of the 510s for hunting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I got some 1010s on the way.
So how many did you buy?
A few. 4.
4?
Mhm.
Okay.
Nice.
I don't
Right.
need more. That's enough. That's enough to where I can shoot a 3-gun match with it if I wanted to.
That's true.
I probably don't because I don't want to be done like flinging 6.5 Creedmoor brass all over the place. I'd rather just use
It's a little expensive, yeah.
I'd rather just use my M1 Garand and just use 308 and crank that away. But I could if I wanted to now.
Okay. Anything else you did in guns? It's been a week.
It's been a week, but like I've been doing shows all week.
Every night.
Yeah, every night. There was one night where we didn't do a slam fire, and I did a Canada Guns talk show one. And then other than that, like every weeknight this week, and on Saturday.
Guys are busy little
Nothing on
beaters.
Sunday. Nothing on Sunday. But
Well, okay.
yeah,
Sunday
lot.
was our day of rest.
Sunday was our day of rest. Yeah.
Podcast rest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So let's move on to Dave then. Dave, what did you do?
I have been hiding in my basement for the last 2 weeks, wrapped in tinfoil and ammo belts, so y'all can just picture that. Stay awake. I dropped my ACH onto my VIC-20, my Commodore VIC-20. So if you've ever got a big old heavy tactical helmet, I don't recommend sitting it anywhere where it can possibly fall on things because it broke my VIC-20, and I'm
no.
very upset about that. It crushed it. So,
Oh.
yeah, makes me sad. What else did I do? I bought I haven't been on in a month. I allegedly bought the world's ugliest Tavor. It's hideous, and I love it.
And why
It's
is
just-
it ugly? And
Oh God, Tavors are ugly anyway.
Mhm.
They're just horrible, horrible guns.
right. But what makes this one the ugliest of all?
This one has had a snakeskin paint job done to it.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work.
So
Beautiful,
Picture
luxurious.
yeah, camouflage snakeskin. So it's black and assorted shades of green and brown, and it is just so hideous. You can't even look at it. I just love it. I can't wait to take it out. What else did I do? Oh, I was at the Ontario Rifle Association AGM about a month ago,
Mhm.
and we had
In person?
I was there in person, yeah. We
Okay.
had this was before all the lockdown stuff, but we had a much lower turnout than usual. So I had set up a Microsoft Teams meeting, impromptu, hauled some gear down there, a camera, and the microphone that Adriel sent me. So thank you, Adriel. That worked out very well.
Awesome.
And we used it for the AGM, and we had 30 people in attendance. About 20 people joined in via the interwebs. So that was awesome.
That's
We
awesome.
recorded it, so we can post that up later as well. We've never done that before. A few little glitches, but it worked out well. And I got an email today that the Dominion of Canada Rifle Association held their AGM recently, and they did it completely by teleconference, nothing in person. And apparently it worked out quite well, according to the email. So that's pretty cool. People adapting to our rather annoying and restrictive circumstances, but it's pretty cool. I think we'll see a lot more of that stuff going forward, so you can actually not sit in boring meetings. You can join in and then read or something while the meeting's going on, and just zone in for the bits that interest you.
Interest you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the way where we're going to be going. Any of the AGMs or anything that's coming up, especially over the next probably 2 months, we're probably just going to do everything by teleconferencing, I think.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense too. I mean, like when I go down to an ORA AGM,
Mhm.
and I'm driving 2 hours each way to get to the AGM, and then I'm there for 8 hours, and then I'm driving home 2 hours, right? It's annoying, and it takes a lot of time, and it's nice to see everybody, but maybe I don't feel like doing that every year. Or we have some people who come from 4 or 5 hours away.
Yep.
Like, that's insane.
And you can tune in and not wear any pants.
And there is that, of course. What else did I do? I finally sort of got all the bits to finish my AR-15 upper. So
Oh,
I
did
just need to, so I've got my...
What are you waiting for?
Some bits from Trevor, which Trevor, I didn't say get them to me right away. I said whenever. So he got them to me whenever. So that took a while.
Okay.
And I had a few little screws and stuff that I had to go pick up. So I've got it almost put together. I'm having a hell of a time getting the barrel nut on, but I have to actually get a vise for my upper and then do what Adriel's advice of just standing on it and twisting the muzzle device on. That's not going to work.
You got a wrench?
So,
You could do the
No?
C-clamp with two 2x4s with a hole drilled in it. Have you tried that?
no.
So you drill it. You take two 2x4s, you screw them together. You drill a hole in them that's just a little bit like smaller than the barrel. Then you take your screws out. Now you have two pieces of wood with a channel in the middle of both of them. You clamp
Smart.
that onto your barrel, and then you either C-clamp them or screw them together. And that's now your barrel block. Now you C-clamp that to something, or you put it in a vise if you got a vise, and you'll twist off your muzzle brake no problem. And the wood won't do any damage to your barrel.
Mhm.
Yeah, interesting. Okay,
That's smart.
maybe I'll try that.
That's like a crappy DIY barrel block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bolivar has an upper block, so I may just
I
go
use
grab
his.
that off.
Or just go and
Yeah.
see him because he's not that far away.
That's
Yep.
true. He can throw it at me down his laneway or something. I'd probably look forward to that.
Yep.
And that's what I did in guns. How about you, Kelly?
All right. So what I did was, Armory DC Gunsmith, they shipped out the rifle that we had ordered for my nephew. They shipped it out on the Friday, and it came in on Tuesday, my birthday. It was my birthday on Tuesday. So it came in on Tuesday. So what I did was I took it out to my brother's, and I was able to drop off the gun. So what was ordered was a Browning AB3 and chambered in 243. So, and Deanie did a fantastic job with it, by the way, shipping it out and getting it there so quick. So I wanted to say thank you to him. So as I said, delivered the rifle to my nephew, my brother, my nephew, and then also was able to, my brother is fantastic. By the way, he's watching, I think. Hey, Ed. So my brother had this in his, I think he had it in his garage. But anyways, so for my birthday, he gave me the Mech Junior. And it came in the box, never opened, and it basically still has all the grease and parts and everything's all still in bags. And I just took it out tonight to have a look at it so that I could show everybody on the show too. But it
That was
is,
your ejection handle.
yeah, so I'm gonna get hit in the head with that. But it is basically right now it has a die for a 12 gauge, so I have to find a 28 gauge die for it. So and then it's bada boom bada bing, we can start reloading for the 28 gauge. And we talked a little bit about reloading on one of the mini podcasts we had. Not last one, but the one before. So I'm going to start looking at getting some stuff for that as well. I was doing some research while Trevor was talking about reloading. So looking to see who had some stuff in stock. So I have to get the die and I have to get all the components, and then we can actually start reloading for that. I'm sure that, and I talked also to Kelly Kincaid as well, because we were talking about reloading together and just trying to get some loads that'll work for both of us, because it is a little bit expensive for 28 gauge. We do know that. So yeah, that is.
Trevor is screaming at his phone right now going, I told you so. Why don't you listen?
But I really like my new over-under, and it also, as Emily's going to be talking about, you have to have the right, you have to have a right shotgun, and if it fits you, that's one of the biggest things. So, and feeling comfortable about it and being able to hit stuff. So if you're able to hit stuff, you'll continue to do it. So, I told you guys that I bought the membership at the Kingston Trap and Skeet Club, right? So,
I think so.
Yeah.
I bought a membership, and so that what that means is I can go. They are only open, so I know everything's closed. I'll get to that, but they're only open on Wednesdays and Sundays. And to shoot, you actually have to buy a little card, and they stamp it every time you go because you're paying for basically the clays. But I'm really excited about it. But right now we're closed. And I don't know how long that's going to be for. So, and since I just bought the membership, but anyways, I've been getting emails almost every day from the secretary, and they're talking about giving us some credit for it. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll figure that all out. I'm really excited and hoping to actually get it to the club when it eventually opens, so we can try it. Maybe try out some of the loads we're going to load too. So, anyways, that's it for me. Didn't do a lot because, well, I've been working a lot, and
Socially isolated.
Socially isolated. Okay, so seriously, I was talking to Kelly, and Kelly and I were going, well, you know what? Maybe we can socially distance. Go to her place. She has her own range, and we can do, basically just go and shoot, but do like distancing. So, and I'm going, you know what? I've been staying in the house. I haven't been going and talking to anybody or seeing anybody because I don't want to get anybody sick, especially my dad, my stepmom, whatever. I think it's a really bad idea. And she actually agreed with that too. So I was going to do that today, but I actually called her and I said, it's a bad idea. I don't feel right about it. And then I went on a half marathon run. So that was my day today. So instead of shooting, I ran. So that's it.
Cardio is important.
Yep. Getting ready for, endurance.
Zombie apocalypse.
Yes, that too.
It's the only real application for cardio.
Running is zombie apocalypse. I can't even talk. Apocalypse.
I can't remember which rule cardio was, but I'm pretty sure it was one. Wasn't it?
One. Very important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was rule one.
Either that or have cover when you go to the bathroom. That was important too.
Yeah, that one is really important. Yeah. And then also have hand sanitizer. You know what is really good for cardio? When you're fighting with somebody at, Walmart over like hand sanitizer. Because you need stamina.
Right? Yes. Mm-hmm. I didn't know where you were going with that. Now I do.
Yeah, you need that. So, and I did stand in line at Walmart. I had to. They're doing the whole, distancing, only letting 30 people into the store or whatever. I went to, I did actually stock up on things like, I went and got some prescription stuff and I got some other stuff. And this woman behind me was like coughing. She was on the phone and she was coughing. And then she was like right up in my neck, standing behind me. I was going to actually take her out because it was just like, whoa, lady. That was my birthday. I got sick on my birthday. No, I didn't. I'm not sick. All right. That's it. I don't know where I'm
going. Went to Walmart for your birthday. This is the worst.
That was a roller coaster there. Holy.
I went to Walmart for my birthday. Oh, I got out. Yeah. Yeah. So when we talk about upcoming events, there are none because everything's canceled. Stay home, play video games instead is what Adriel says. Hey, Adriel.
Well, I don't know who put that in there. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. So how's the video game going?
Let's go. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you and Jeremy playing?
Mm-hmm. Me and Jeremy. All my brothers are playing right now. We're all playing Escape from Tarkov. Had some big Chad runs the other day. Took a bunch of equipment from some better players.
See, you're doing shooting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
it's SKS, AK-74s, Mosins. No M4s. I'm not. That's too rich for me. Way too rich. Yeah, I'm poor boy on that game.
So
my IRL Tarkov loadout is way better than my Tarkov loadout.
One day we will all sit around and we'll be like, "Hey, do you remember when video games came with all the guns? You have to buy them afterwards."
Yeah. I have a question about. You were talking to me last week about at this point maybe you would be ready to just go out and go and shoot something.
Mm-hmm.
Are you at that point right now?
I've been thinking about it for either this weekend or next. I'm gonna go into the bush. I don't know if it's. Oh wait. I have an easy way of determining if I'm going to do it this weekend or not. What's the weather like? Because it's cold.
It's supposed to be like 5. That's what.
Saturday -7. What? Sunday -5. It's probably going to be like -12 overnight.
So
which is doable.
Yeah.
But I'll push it off one more week.
One more week? Yeah, because last time I looked was about a week ago and it was supposed to be like 5.
That'll give me enough time to get the mags. And Cabela's is doing pickup on ammo. So I might get some 6.5 Creedmoor from them, so I can shoot more.
Next Thursday, it's supposed to be 4 degrees. That's the highest you got. That's it.
But I gotta drive like 2 hours to get anywhere cool because all my ranges are closed. So
everything is closed.
Yeah, I don't know.
The bush is not closed. The bush is open.
This is
free.
Crown Land. That's where you have to go.
I'm gonna find some land where I can shoot. I'm gonna go now that I have my Tavor, and I'm gonna phone the CFO and see if I can get an ATT to take my AR-15 out to Crown Land because we know the rules bullshit and they know it's bullshit. Ha! You have to edit.
You're gonna call the CFO. Do you think they're gonna answer?
Well, if I don't, I'll email them. But I'm just going to request that I would like to take my AR-15 out. I'm doing the responsible thing, so I would like an ATT to the following address, which is Crown Land. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Say it's for this afternoon. Hopefully you get it to me by the time I'm out there.
Yeah, if not, just I got my phone with me, so I'll get it when it comes. Here's the address. Meet you there.
Yeah.
The cops probably aren't going to come arrest me, or would they? I don't know. Maybe not.
I don't know.
Maybe not now.
Trick them. Don't even bring your AR. Just bring your other stuff.
Just sit there in the car and wait.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about? Brought my paintball gun. Are you guys crazy?
There you go. I did get an email today from my local club saying that they're going to be closed until the end of April into May at least.
Yeah.
So that's the reality right now. And right now Ontario is saying anything over 5 and you're going against,
Yeah. What's our state of emergency right now? Mid-April, right? 2 more weeks.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we're toast until at least June, end of June. So we're going to have to come up with what we did in guns. Like, I don't know. We're going to have to start doing virtual things. I don't know.
What we did in pants.
What we
doing more virtual things.
Or not.
More virtual calls. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we'll continue those mini episodes, by the way. If you have stuff you want us to talk about, like we're doing prepper stuff, but if you want to talk about anything else, just let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Send us an email. Right. Okay. Why don't we get into the news? There is none. And then new gun stuff. So why don't we actually do that? This is going to be a quick show besides our main topic, which was fantastic, by the way.
I mean, when it comes to news and like new gun stuff, new gun stuff, it's all sold out.
Yeah.
If it's not sold out, it's just getting more expensive. And realistically, like if you need to get some 9mm or 223, you can still find it. It's just $100 more expensive per 1,000 than it was before. And if you can live with that, it's available. You can get it. Delask has some newly done up 1911s. They're 9mm
pretty.
Stainless. They're very nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice. Canada Downrange episode 3 is live on YouTube. They've been releasing their episodes, which is very nice since everyone's stuck at home. So you can watch it. If you watch YouTube on your phone, make sure to check what resolution they set you to, because by default they're putting you to potato quality. So at least like bump it up to 720 if you're starting to watch a video and you're like, man, this looks like crap. Just check that setting.
Yeah. Episode 3. They're doing 1 episode a week right now. So they're going to do season 1 first, obviously. Then they'll set up season 2, which is great. And then so I'm excited about that. Oh, I did order some stuff from Amanda Lynn Mayhew. I'll talk about that next week when I get it in. All right. Sorry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I've mailed out is getting to people, so that's neat to see as well. Let's see. Oh, if you're in Edmonton, P&D has their ammo listed online now. P&D has like a bunch of weird ammo, and they're a little bit more expensive than your big box store, but they'll have it. So they have like real weird stuff, and they've got it all listed online
define
now.
Weird. Give me an example. Okay, never mind. Do they have your 6.5 Creedmoor that you're looking for?
They have. Well, Cabela's has that
That's
too.
not weird.
I know.
That's not weird.
Do they have my 38 Smith & Wesson or my 455?
They
Webley?
will. Yeah, they have that kind of weird stuff all away somewhere. Anyways, they got it online, which is nice because they probably got tired of people calling them saying, "Hey, you got any more 223?" They're like, let's add this thing to our website. And then the other thing I saw online was that High Cal will now fit AK mags and CZ or VZ58 grips. I can't remember which one. They'll fit those grips to your Type 81. So there's a little bit of fitting involved, and some people aren't comfortable with pulling out the Dremel on brand new equipment.
Yeah, you are, but most people aren't.
Yeah,
Send it to Adriel. Adriel will do it with the belt sander.
I won't do as good a job as they will, because they probably have a jig set up for it, and they're probably just zip and away you go, right? I think the fee is very nominal. So if you've got a Type 81 and you're looking to customize it, HiCal has got your back.
Right. Now, who is it? International
ABI Barrels. They're doing a new website.
No. Yeah,
they're doing a new website, and they're selling some stuff on sale right now too.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about them. Who's doing the Type 81's tactical imports?
Yeah.
Right. So they just posted the last of they have their 81s in, and that's it. No more.
Yeah. Manufacturer's not going to do any more.
Nope. So go and buy them if you are interested. So anything else?
That is it for new gun stuff.
On tonight's show, we'd like to welcome Emily Brown to the show as the main topic. Now, Emily is going to be talking to us about skeet and trap, and she's also a friend of mine. Fantastic lady, by the way. So, Emily, why don't you give us a little bit? Hi, how are you tonight?
Good. In the sun. There I am.
There you go. So, Emily, why don't you give us a little bit of bio about yourself? What type of what's your profession, and all those fantastic titles you have, because you have so many of them. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Kelly. My name's Emily Brown, and I'm just about 60 years old. I'll be 60 at the end of the year, and I started trap shooting about, when I was 12 years old. Currently, I work at Sheridan College. I'm a professor of mathematics in the business school, which gives me 2 months off in the summer, which makes it perfect for a shooting sport. I can go all over to compete. I started with trap shooting because my parents were looking for kind of a retirement thing to do when my dad got out of the military. Mm-hmm. And they answered a newspaper ad that said, looking for a groundskeeper for the Peel County Game and Fish Protective Association, which was a cleverly disguised name for a 3-discipline gun club. So my dad didn't shoot, ex-military, wasn't interested in doing any shooting after that. And so, but there I was at the beginning of grade 8, moving to a gun club.
Yeah, you lived on the property, right?
I lived right on the property, in the little house, and the driveway went around the house. And
the little house with the clays come out of, or
no, yeah, like a hobbit under the ground. But so they noticed, the club executive noticed that there wasn't much opportunity for someone to of my age to get a summer job or a part-time job, and so they said, "Why don't you run the office at the gun club?" And when the club was open. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. So that's why I'm really good at math, because I was taking money and giving change and counting targets and paying out the trap help, the kids who did the scoring and loading of the house. And so, yeah, I became really good at math. So that's my lead in from how shooting can help you with your profession.
That's how you became a professor for mathematics.
It is. Yeah. And so I've been shooting on and off. Of course, you go through those periods where you may be having children and having a huge mortgage, and you can't shoot as much as you want. And so, there's a small hiatus in my life where I didn't shoot competitively, but definitely recreationally. And then, back at it full time, competitively, and currently a Canadian title holder, a provincial title holder in the Atlantic provinces to boot, because we traveled there Labor Day weekend. So it's something I love.
So how long have you had those titles, by the way? Canadian champion, the provincial champion?
Well, we compete for those titles every year, and so it's kind of a rolling thing. We have, within trap shooting alone, we have 3 disciplines. We have a single target. Mm-hmm. We have a handicap target, which means you shoot from further back to challenge you, like a golf handicap. And then we have double shooting, where you have 2 targets come out at the same time. So depending on the year, you win one or the other of the titles. And
Okay. So you said that you started shooting at 12. How did you get started at 12?
So I was living at the grounds and then running the office, and somebody said, "Hey, do you want to try it?" And so I said, "Yeah, okay." And so after the club was officially, closed or closing,
Right.
there was a man, his name was J.D. Miller, and he was actually the Deputy Minister of Highways for Ontario. He built the
Okay.
401, good or bad. But he was in his 70s, and neither of his kids shot. And he was just so excited to be my mentor. And so he would take me out after at the club, and we'd shoot a few rounds. He'd give me some tips, and then he gave me this old gun with a poly choke on it that you'd sort of twist to change the choke of the barrel. And then I shot with that, and then he gave me his old Remington 1100 that already had 100,000 shells through it.
Wow.
So I still have it.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's worked
and then it's well worked in. Really easy moving parts. And
If
then,
you give that to Adriel, he could get his Dremel tool in there and
No, I don't think,
open up
you
that
wanna do
port
that.
and really make some improvements to it.
There is a shell latch that you can get for an 1100 that makes it fast to load them in from the bottom, but I wouldn't recommend it these days.
No.
it was a bit challenging with doubles. I didn't shoot a lot of doubles when I was a teenager because we didn't have the great lubricants back then that made the action move quickly and smoothly like the new silicone ones.
Yep.
So it always got stuck unless it was perfectly, clean. And I remember the first time I was brave enough to take the whole thing apart and clean every bit with the Varsol and soaking the trigger and everything. And then there I was, I think I was probably 13 at that time. And I put the thing back together. There's a piece left. And I thought,
Oops.
oh, this can't be good. So we didn't have the internet. We didn't have the exploding diagrams about where all these pieces go. And so again, a little bit of math and a little bit of ingenuity. And I took it all apart and thought, okay, well, this must go here and must go there. And if anyone's ever taken an 1100 completely apart, it's there's a zillion pieces. So it's a challenge.
Okay. Adriel, have you ever done it?
Yeah, I got a video review on the 1100. Yeah, they're
Of course you do.
there's a couple parts in them. Yeah, the piston and whatever. Yeah, they've got an O-ring on them that always seems to degrade and get torn up. So that's one of the things that needs to be real careful about it. But
I literally have a zipper in my wallet, and I carry an extra O-ring in it. And it looks a bit. If someone didn't know what it was, it looks a bit saucy.
Gonna be a good day at the club.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is this man, Jack, he said to me in 1977, I guess, I was going to Vancouver to shoot the Canadian Championships. And he said, if you go and beat this particular shooter who was always top of the game, he said, if you go and beat that shooter, I will be meeting you at the airport with a brand new 1100. And so I did. And so he did. And you can imagine, the box of 1100, this big green box, it says Remington across it. And he walked into Toronto International Airport with it, with a beautiful poem written inside about the gift to me. And I still have it and the poem, and it's a very wonderful memory for me. So
awesome. Glad that you still have it. So there's a couple of actual affiliations you have. You have affiliations with a couple of with
organizations.
The organizations. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So which organizations are you affiliated with, and how do you represent them?
So when I moved back from Calgary back to Ontario, I noticed that communications were difficult. People weren't hearing about shoots happening and events going on. So I first started with a Facebook page for the Ontario Provincial Trap Shooting Association. And then after a year, I got on the board there. So we make competitive trap shooting decisions for the province. So we represent the membership there.
Okay.
I sit on the Ontario Council of Shooters, and that's the provincial sporting organization that liaises with our provincial ministry for base funding and exceptional event funding. So if we want to hold a national or international event, we can apply to that ministry for extra funding, extra support. So the provincial sporting organization, the Ontario Council of Shooters, it represents 6 shooting disciplines. So trap shooting, skeet, Olympic trap, handgun, rifle, and muzzle loading. So we liaise as a group with the ministry, and we're mandated to keep in that group. We can't singularly discuss things with the ministry. And other sports are the same, canoeing and taekwondo and skating and so on. So that's that organization. I also represent as a delegate to the Canadian Trap Shooting Association, which is essentially just hosts the Canadian Championships. We don't do too much outside of that, but the Ontario Provincial Trap Shooting Championship just hosted its 100th provincial event last year, and the Canadian Trap Shooting Association has a long history as well of national events. So, in fact, if anyone's familiar with Toronto, the Canadian Trap Shooting Championship was once held at Exhibition Park.
Oh, really?
The Lakeshore in downtown Toronto. So
really, that's awesome.
Yeah. So there's names in the record book and newspaper clippings that I have. I'm sort of I'm not a closet historian. I'm an out there historian of the shooting world. I also am a member of the board of the Canadian University Shooting Federation. And to me, that was a real honor to be invited on the board. I was helping them out for about a year as kind of, I call myself the den mother, where I'm just kind of there to put, the people in touch with shooters who are willing to help youth shooters. Right. I put people in touch with others around the country. So what the Canadian University Shooting Federation is an organization that's supporting shooting clubs at post-secondary institutions, which you can imagine in today's times can be a challenge. And I have participated in a couple of appeal meetings at post-secondary institutions who have denied shooting clubs on a variety of unsubstantiated and uneducated grounds. Primarily Montreal, Toronto, some of the bigger cities that have other issues with criminal use of firearms. So we're up to 18 clubs in post-secondary institutions, and we have sort of satellite shoots in the spring and in the fall. Right. So it's good.
Currently, spring's shut down. I know that. But we're looking. But fall looks like it's going to be hopefully up and running.
Mm-hmm. And what's so important about getting university students involved, besides the obvious, it's like an awesome sport and an awesome thing to do, is that, they're our greatest in numbers, our greatest voting demographic. Yep. So we need to have them on board, whether they take up shooting as a sport now or later or never. We need them to have a really good experience at the range where they kind of go, yeah, these people are really nice. Look how welcoming they are. Look how safe they are. They need to have that experience in order to vote with the proper education. Right. Also, they may well be a population that has the greatest amount of disposable income that's going to be available to perhaps take up a sport, which sometimes isn't the most economical to take up. And
you're right. Yeah.
And it's something that you can do, from a very young age to a very old age. And so it's something that they can come back to or participate a little bit or a lot, depending on what their time and money allows.
Right. We're also seeing that it's actually equal women versus men, not versus, but distribution between male and female. Yeah. We're seeing probably about half and half, so which is awesome. I think it's great.
It's interesting. I have a colleague who is doing some funded research at the University of Waterloo, and it's phase 1 is completed now, and the research is around resiliency, mental toughness, the ability to get over a stressful situation or cope with a stressful incident. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the types of skills that type of attitude or ability would have, that's what we want to put in young people, old people, everybody. We want them to be resilient. And man, this is a perfect example of a time when people who are resilient are really going to fare better.
Right.
And so the phase 1 of the research has been completed. students, they are mostly students from the university where the research is taking place. They had 5 different metrics measured prior to a novice experience at the shooting range, during their experience at the shooting range. So these are people who've never shot before, and then after, a week before, during, and a week after. And what was noted across these 5 metrics were that 68% of men and 79% of women, that's what made me think of it, reported that they felt a greater sense of mental toughness and resiliency in coping with and being able to handle what they would consider a stressful situation. And that, they could see themselves now applying those skills to other situations. So the shooting sports offer that as well, right?
Yep. And it's a lot of it is empowerment. When you're talking about 79% women are saying now that they feel better about it.
Yep.
Okay. So, and final thing, one of the probably biggest accolades that you have is that you're one of our gunning girls.
I'm July.
You're July. Yes, you are. That's how I know you. You're fantastic. It's like, oh my God.
When I was invited, I thought, oh, great. They're going to make me December, which is my birthday month, and I'm going to be in a parka so no one can see me. And that is the furthest from the truth if you've looked at July.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were a chipper too, because you were wet and cold, and I'm just going to let people go from
Take
there.
that for what it is.
Yeah. Fantastic though. Everybody's going, she's 60? Oh my God. Yeah, no. But no, that's how I actually know you too. So
it is.
And, the reason that I actually had you on is because I'm actually getting into skeet and trap. So I'm super excited about it. I've now bought my membership at my local club. The other thing that I've done as well is I've bought a new gun, a new rifle. Yeah, and a
new shotgun.
New shotgun. Mm-hmm. Yep. Over under and 28 gauge. So, and then I'm also going to be taking up reloading as well, because 28 gauge is a little expensive. So I'm going to be doing that with Kelly as well, because she also shoots 28 gauge too. Perfect. So, but I wanted to get you on and so that we can discuss trap specifically, but also skeet and sporting clays. I know that you actually shoot trap specifically and sporting clays. But can you tell us what the difference is between all of them?
Yeah. So when you tell people that you're a trap shooter, they say, oh, is that like skeet shooting? And there's always like a little napkin around, and I draw a little diagram and say no. So trap shooting is where you have one mechanical house and the targets go away from you, and you have 5 stations that you shoot at. So the targets are away within a particular angle and within a certain height. It has to be a certain height. Of course, the wind impacts it, but that's when the traps are set. You get 1 target at a time or 2 targets at a time for doubles. Okay. Use a 12 gauge shotgun. Less successful with a 20 and 28 gauge. So a 12 gauge. A lot of people say, oh, they're young or they're women, they should start with a 28 gauge. And really, that's not the truth. You should start with a 12 gauge that fits you and has some recoil resistance in the stock, or a gas operated or something like a semi-auto.
Right. And you're shooting fairly light loads too, right? They're not like a hunting load.
It's true. We have of course a target shell. So you have to have a certain powder load and shot load. And there are very light loads now. I shoot a very light 7/8 ounce powder for the first shot of doubles, because you really need to keep the gun in for the second target. Right. So, if you haven't quite recovered from the recoil of the first shell, you tend to not be lined up for the second shell.
Taking the second.
And skeet, of course, skeet has 2 houses, a high house, meaning it's taller, and a low house. And there are 10 stations. And so 10 stations around, and then 1 in the middle where the targets go over your head.
Right.
And so at each station, you'd get a target from the high house, a target from the low, and then a doubles. In skeet, you tend to know where the targets are going to be. So you have your your hold point and you have your shooting point.
Right.
And so they're quite consistent. The trap machine is on an oscillator, so you don't really know where the target's coming from, if it's going to be a right hand, a left hand, a straightaway. So it's quite a bit different as far as the two disciplines.
Okay.
Go ahead.
One of the reasons I was going to ask this is because when we went and had our lessons, they said, we're not going to start you with trap, we're going to start you with ski. It's going to be easier. Do you find that as well?
The fact that you always know where the target's going could imply that it's easier. Mm-hmm. For me, as a trap shooter and a lifelong trap shooter, I have trouble with skeet and the greater leads. So you can imagine if you're shooting a target that's going away, you're not leading in the same way as one that's crossing you. And so that's the only issue. And if I had proper coaching and knew about hold point and shooting point, then it'd be a little bit more successful. Right. Sporting clays is very popular as far as sports that are growing and sports that are declining in numbers. Sporting clays are very, very popular and getting more so. And people describe that as kind of like golf with a gun. So you go in the woods through different stations, or, like you would different holes in golf. And you have different target presentation at each of the stations that you go to. So there's something we shoot out here too called hunter's clays or sporting clays. They're similar. And essentially the target presentation reflects hunting. So it would reflect the flight of a goose, or reflect the flight of a grouse, or along the ground, a rabbit target would hop. Okay. And so it's great practice for hunting, but it's also very enjoyable in that you're out in nature, in the woods, doing something you love. It's become very competitive. The club where I'm at, Galt Sportsman Club, has an internationally ranked sporting clays course. Okay. And so the traps, again, there may be one target. So you have... sometimes you have a target that comes out and then a second target, or sometimes you have a report pair where they both come at once. So you have to determine which one is the best one to shoot based on, how long you have this target in flight, right, to shoot it. Yeah.
So why do you think sporting clays is growing where other sports are declining?
I think that the sporting clays, the very fact that you're outside and walking, it appeals to people who want to get exercise. It's also, I would say, I'm not going to say more sociable, but there are opportunities to socialize more. Think about being on the golf course where, you walk or you ride from hole to hole. It's the same with sporting clays where you talk while you're going from station to station. And they're quite spread out, you can imagine, because you have people shooting in the woods and you have to have space around for target passage and for not obviously shooting in the direction of other shooters. So there's quite an expanse of land that's required. And it really kind of exemplifies or amplifies, the nature of walking in the woods and talking to someone and then enjoying the shooting and going to the next station. So I think that's why it's popular. Okay. In sporting clays, there's you can use all three gauges. And also there's a side-by-side class. So it really is one of those inclusive sports as far as shotgun sports.
Okay. So you said Galt has like world class. Is there, because of the amount of property that you need for sporting clays, or the other ones in Ontario, or No,
a sporting clays course to sort of have that international appeal is based on the challenge that the targets present. Okay. So how hard they are to hit, how, there's base level of target presentation, and Galt was set up by a sporting clays champion, and the targets are very, very difficult for a novice. Okay. But again, if you go out with someone who's shot the course before, and the course changes, you change the trap presentation in order to change how you see the target. Okay. So they'll do that maybe once a month or something. But if you go out with someone who knows, and they can say, well, you're going to shoot the target from trap A first and then B, and this is where it's going to go. This is the kind of lead you're going to need on the target. It helps, it helps you. But if you went out on a internationally ranked course on your own, you're going to pay for a lot of targets you don't hit.
And you're going to get kind of discouraged as well. And
right,
I don't really want to do this anymore.
Same as if you played mini. Same as if you played mini putt and went played Augustus, I guess.
Yeah,
or Augusta,
exactly.
rather.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So, and that's why it's popular, I think, because it's a nice time to walk in the woods, and it includes all different kinds of shotgun. There's a lot of variation, and it's sociable.
Okay. So, how do you start? How do people get started in this? What do you need to get started? What's the best way to get started?
Honestly, the best way is to contact someone in your local organization and ask if there's a new shooter day, or if someone would be able to meet them at the club. And I do that a lot with people in Ontario within my driving range, because what happens is, or email someone and ask, but what happens is someone will go to even a locally owned gun store, but most often people who are trying to start, they end up going to the big box stores. They go to Bass Pro or Cabela's, and they get sold a gun that is not going to be the best thing for trap shooting. So what I've done with people who want to give it a try is I bring a semi-automatic, I bring a single break action, I bring an over and under at a variety of price points, and say, okay, well, let's try a few targets with this, and then let them ask a bunch of questions, let them feel what it feels like. The guns I have aren't going to fit everyone, but we can adjust things so that they will fit in general. When you have an adjustable comb, we can do that. But it just gives people an idea of the ease of use.
Right.
So some people are going to go out with a field stock 12 gauge and wonder why it's not shooting with the right pattern and so on. So just to have that experience, and then to build a relationship that someone can feel they can ask a question, right? And not feel embarrassed. I have to say that just about a month ago now, I got my RPAL.
Yay!
Didn't
That's so
have
exciting.
it. 47 years of shooting, and it just never hit the radar. And I felt like I wanted to be counted in those numbers right now in these increasingly odd political times. And I just wanted to do that. And it's interesting because of all of my years around guns, there's lots you don't know. And you feel like, I should know this. I don't want to feel dumb asking, but I need to know this because I don't know. And I think if you have someone who is knowledgeable in the sport and is open to any question, then that's where you need to go to get advice to get started.
Yeah, perfect. It's kind of like when I got my first lesson in skeet, I brought out my 12 gauge. It didn't fit me correctly. And then one of the first things that Matt said to me was, we have to fit your gun to you. And I'm going, I do this every day. Why didn't I felt like an idiot, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
But he's knowledgeable. And so it's always a great idea to go and find somebody who is knowledgeable and willing to take you out. That was kind of what I was going to say. How do you know what gun is right for you? It actually has to fit you. It has to feel comfortable, and you have to try things out. It's basically that.
And they can be, expensive. I've been looking at handguns and thinking, really, that's all $500? because shotguns can be expensive. Now you can get into a nice gun for under $1,000, and then you can upgrade. But what I think, if you go out and buy a gun that you've never tried, and I don't mean try a specific gun, but I mean even try a specific make of gun. Right. You've got Beretta, you've got Perazzi, you've got Krieghoff, you've got Browning, you've got all these different types of guns, and they do all have a different personality and a different kind of way of shooting, right? So if you go and grab, a Beretta because you've heard of it and it's not the right personality for you, then you feel like you've spent $5,000 on something that you're really not happy with. And so if you can come out and try a variety of guns and just see, they'll speak to you. If that makes
That's
sense.
the same with any gun. And I find you go to the range and you're like, can I try your gun? And people are like, oh, no, try mine. No, try mine. This one's awesome. Try this. Everybody's happy to talk about their guns and let you show off their toys.
Right. You're absolutely right. And so I, as I said, I run a Facebook group for the Ontario Provincial Trap Shooting Association. And whenever someone asks to join, the first thing I send them in the message is, welcome to the group. Please ask, please feel free to ask me any questions. And if you have, if you need any help, I'm here. And so I attach, of course, my name to it. Yeah. And I usually get something back like, thank you so much. And that opens that dialogue to say, okay, someone who I can ask who is going to answer me honestly and kindly. That's what you want. That's why we're welcoming sport, right?
Right. And you represent that so well. From your articulate, you're professional, you're a fantastic lady. You have a great smile, and you welcome people. Like, that's actually what we need to bring other people into the sport. So,
yeah, I think when we're talking, politically, and when we're voicing our concerns about levels of licensing, regulation, and increasing those, I actually think it's a benefit to be a woman to raise those concerns. And I know it sounds terrible, but when I go to political events, of course, the Conservative Party leadership events, when we're all sitting there and the formal part is over and they're taking questions, I'm literally the first one with my hand up. And I think they look at me as, oh, this nice lady, she's going to ask something about her pension or something. And I lead. I'm hard hitting. I want to know what you're going to do for firearm owners and what you're going to do to really tackle crime. And I want this rolled back further than it's been in the last round of elections. And so they don't see it coming.
Nope, they don't.
I take them off guard. And I think
that's good.
I think they answer honestly because I ask sincerely the question. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, politically, I mean, if we get more women involved, more of everybody involved, this stereotype is it's a bunch of angry white rednecks.
It is.
And then, when I go to my shooting events, we've got people from every walk of life and gender and race and religion. And we all get along and we shoot guns, and it totally blows that stupid stereotype out of the water. So that's awesome. Good on you.
Yeah, there is no stereotype right now. Everybody, but people still think of that.
I went to an appeal meeting at a university who had denied a shooting club. Perhaps I shouldn't mention the name, but
I was going to get into those a little bit.
But I really wanted to address that it's, it comes from all demographics. And I actually compiled a photo album, if you would. And from our recent 100th provincial, I have this beautiful picture of a 14-year-old girl from farm country, southwestern Ontario, shooting beside an 82-year-old man who's the first generation immigrant from Greece. Wow. And I said, there they are, like there's, 70 years apart, and they're shooting on the same field for the same trophy. They could win the top trophy. And I showed a picture of an 86-year-old woman from Windsor who I used to shoot with her son and her grandson. They're both in our record books. And she was 86 shooting a competition round of 100 targets in July in St. Thomas last year at the Canadians with her 12-gauge shotgun that she's shot for decades. Wow. 86. And you think about where most 86-year-olds are, right? And this woman is out there competitive, right?
Yep. And that's why it's... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead, Kelly. I'll ask after you.
Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was this whole appeals process. Why do you think that what we're trying to do is get clubs, universities, colleges to have these clubs? Why do you think it's almost like an automatic no? Like, why do you think that is?
Well, for big city institutions, so if you're talking about Toronto, Montreal, the email denials are often really disgusting in their response that why guns are on the earth and who uses guns, and we're not willing to condone their use by our students and so on. I should remind this institution that I was a Canadian champion when I started studying there in 1978. So, that's something that the university should be proud of athletes that are within their student population.
Yeah.
I think it's really about misinformation and a lack of education about the differences between who's using guns for criminal use and who is using them for recreation. And when I went to the appeals meeting at this particular university, they wanted to know, firstly, that their students weren't going to sit in the cafeteria talking about their weekend at the range because it might sensitize people sitting at a table next to them. And they also wanted to ensure that guns weren't on campus, which, again, legally, if they're
allowed to,
legally, they could. But that was one assurance, which was absolutely fine with the club organizers, of course. And the third thing was, where were they going to be shooting? And so the student who had put in the original application said, well, we go up to a shooting range that's about an hour north of here. That's the closest range. Mm. And I said to the university administrator, I said, after the young man was finished, I said, actually, the nearest shooting range is about 500 meters across that field out the window we're looking at, because there was one on the campus of the university. And I said, the second closest range is about 1 kilometer down the road in the basement of Union Station, train station in Toronto. And most high schools in Toronto that are older than 50 years have rifle
them in the basements. Yeah.
And there weren't issues with that. So my point was made, but perhaps it fell on deaf ears.
Were you successful or no?
So the club exists, a small group of people, but without the approval of the university, there can't be any club funds, which aren't of great value, maybe $500, but they're also not allowed to market their club on campus. So they can't post, hand notes on the pillars. They can't post on social media. Now the schools in Quebec who have shooting clubs that are sort of acting outside of the approval of the university. So they're shooting clubs, but they don't have the stamp of approval.
Right.
Basically, they've gone through a variety of concessions where they say, well, what if we, don't have any guns in our logo? What if we change our name to Target Sports Clubs? So, they're dancing around this whole thing, just becoming educated. And, the biggest thing about the Canadian University Shooting Federation is to educate first, to provide enjoyment and fun. And also, to encourage the students, if they're going to come into the club and remain a member of the shooting club going forward, we're absolutely encouraging them to get their PALs, and there are PALs, to be licensed and to prove, to whoever wants to ask that they are responsible citizens and responsible enough to be licensed to own a firearm. So
right. That's exactly it. Okay. So where can people actually go and try out these sports? Can they just go, like, if they're interested? So if we have people who are part of universities, where can they go to try out these sports? Or if they're interested in trying out trap, where can they go and try these? Or should they contact you? Or
they can.
All right.
Yeah, they can for sure. It depends on where you live. In Ontario, we have 62 clubs in the province, maybe more now, that have at least one trap. And usually when you have a trap, you have skeet as well. And oftentimes you have sporting clays. The problem is, of course, that the clubs have a certain number that they can allow in their membership. So many clubs have capped memberships. Okay. So that can be a challenge. So when people contact an organization, every province in the country has a trap shooting organization. We're often really closely related to the skeet organizations. We can, cross reference. But that's a great place to start, because they'll be able to say, here's a great club. Here's a club that's taking membership. I know Dave at the club. I'll give you his email and, arrange to go and meet Dave at the club. And it does help because of, the added security that many clubs believe we need. Sometimes the first thing you see at a gun club is private club, no visitors allowed, danger warning, all of these things that if you don't know are intimidating. And so that's why it seems to me to be really important to have someone meet you there and say, no, come in the gate. Yeah, I'll meet you there. I drive the blue Honda. We're good. And then introduce them around to other people at the club so that now they know other people, and to really give them that warm welcome. And, I think that's the most important part. And unfortunately, the practicalities that require us to have, the danger signs and the no visitor signs sometimes present a different image at the road front than what we really offer inside.
Yeah. When you get them across that barrier and you're there for them, what are some of the things that are the most difficult for people to actually learn first off, and then what keeps them from coming back, do you think?
I think the first thing is that there are people who get a PAL or an RPAL and they've actually never had a practical firearms experience.
Yeah,
which is really
odd
and disappointing, because you really should have that. I mean, you have the practical where you have a disengaged gun and you're taught those safety things, but actually firing one at a target, that experience you don't have. So when I'm at my club and I see people who are clearly new, I don't go, oh God, those new people. I talk to them after they're finished shooting, shake their hand. I give them a business card for the organization so that they can be in touch through communication. Yeah. And I say, hey, I noticed that, and then usually they're very happy to have a little bit of advice.
Yeah.
Right. To say, oh, well, when you're standing on this station, it's really helpful if, and then they start to be successful at hitting more targets. Right.
Yeah.
And then they want more. And you can see the light go on, like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Right. I see a lot of rifle shooters who come out and they're looking at the bead.
Yeah, that's actually just
saying, no. In trap and clay target sports, we point, we don't aim. And so people are looking at the bead at the barrel and missing the target out there, by a mile. And they don't understand that. And all you have to say to them is, no, you look at the bead to make sure they're lined up if you must. Yeah. And then look out there into the grass or into the trees. And that little bit of advice allows them to be more successful at hitting targets. And then suddenly the light goes on and they feel happier, right?
Yeah, it's so counterintuitive for people who are pistol shooters or for rifle shooters to actually not look at the bead, to actually look at, the leads. It's just like, once you actually do that, you're going to hit more though.
And what stops people from coming back? I don't know. Sometimes it's time, sometimes it's money, and sometimes it could be a bad experience. And so, we are trying as much as possible to make sure that our clubs are as welcoming as possible, that we encourage them to host new shooter events so that you're not going to have a new shooter who's fumbling around on the line with someone who's practicing for some competition, so you can take those people and say, let's get you going. Let's get you hitting some targets. So, that's what our clubs are encouraged to do. And, most clubs, if you email or get on their Facebook page and say, hey, I'm a new shooter, when do you have open club hours? They're always available, right? It just is a matter of finding the club closest and reaching out to someone. So,
yeah. Okay. Dave, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask exactly what you asked, so well done.
You read my mind, or I read your mind. I don't know.
One of the two.
One of the two. What about you, Adriel? Yeah, we're sharing a brain. Adriel, do you have any questions for Emily?
No, just how do people, what do you want to plug now that we're at the end here?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, mostly I would love to see some juniors and women come out. I want to see
Yeah.
family shooting. You know, if women love it, and I have to say there are, you know, there's some women who feel like, oh, geez, that 12 gauge shotgun, that's going to kick. There's
Yeah.
recoil, it's huge. What do I do with it? And honestly, I mean, I was shooting at 12, and we have, you know, young fellas and young girls. The gun that fits is the gun that you're going to shoot well with. And there are so many new technologies now than when I started, where you have recoil reducers, you have synergy guns, Fausti guns that are designed for a smaller frame or for
Those are beautiful.
women.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And also, you know, make a gun fit, right?
Yeah.
You can decrease your length of pull if you need something shorter. You can, as we talked about before, you can get a lighter load shell that's perfectly effective, the same speed as any higher powder shell. So it's not like you're going to be less successful with a lighter load, right? It's all about where that pattern goes. So.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see more people coming out that are, you know, maybe cautious about trying, you know, the big 12 gauge shotguns.
Okay.
I must say, when I take people out with shotguns and I give them like a target load, I have had a few not so nice friends who've brought their friends out, and they think it's hilarious to hook up, you know, like the 90-pound woman with a 3.5-inch slug and then have a good laugh over it. So
yeah, very unsafe
that's
and
why
very
people get
discouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why people get nervous about that, because people see a lot of that stuff on the internet. So if you're ever thinking of doing that to somebody, please don't. You're a jerk.
Yeah, I see. I have seen a number of images put up where, you know, like new women are shooting, and then, you know, people are coaching them, but they're holding their shoulder as if, oh my goodness, you know, this is going to hurt. Well, that image, you know, it speaks 1,000 words. It looks like it's going to hurt. And so that's what people remember. Really, it's just like basketball, where you have a proper stance, right? Where you don't have your feet together, you have your feet shoulder length apart. Right. You know, where you've got stability, and you lean into the gun so that, you know, the recoil absorb goes straight into the shoulder and back. You know, all of that is about proper holding of a gun and proper stance. And when I teach someone who's absolutely, you know, green at it, I give them, before they hold a gun, you know, I say, how would you rather experience this? Would you rather be hit or pushed? Because people sometimes are resistant about holding a shotgun tight to their face and tight to their shoulder. And I say, you have to move as a unit, like you're a turret on top of a tank. And you have to hold it snugly enough that you are pushed. If the gun is away from your face, first, you're going to miss the target. But secondly, it's going to come back and hit you. It's going to hit your cheek. It could hit your shoulder. Sometimes it hits your jawline. Right? So you want to hold it so that you're pushed and not hit by the gun.
Right. That's just things. At USC, the Ladies' Day events that we have there, they usually put me on the shotguns for some reason, anyways. But teaching them proper stance and giving them a little information prior to, it makes a world of difference to them as well. And then when they actually do shoot it, they're saying, oh, wow, that's actually not bad at all. And it's because they have proper technique, proper stance, proper everything. And they actually are happy about it and encouraged to actually shoot it again as well. So it can be basically the difference between whether they want to come back or not.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And that level of comfort. And what I notice with absolutely new shooters is really that first pull of the trigger, they just want to feel what it feels like. Yeah. And sometimes they just mount the gun and pull the trigger and then go, okay, that's it. That's okay. I can deal this. Right.
Yeah.
So it's that first pull of the trigger is really the deciding point. They just want to get it over with and then be assured that it's not going to hurt and it's going to be a fun time. And the first time they break their target, like, wow, they're excited, the look on their face, like there's nothing. It's priceless.
Yeah, it is. All right. So again, why don't you give us some information on how to contact you again, whether it's best through Facebook, email, or however. So if people are interested in contacting you, because you got a lot of information.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So there's my personal Facebook. It's Emily Sanford Brown. So that's possible. Also, the Facebook group, it's Ontario Trap, OPTA, Ontario Trap Facebook group. I post there all kinds of events, everything, league shoots, fun shoots, full-on competitions. And also the Canadian Trap Shooting Association. I run that Facebook page, and that's for sort of national events and national news. Any one of those ways you can reach me. Also at www.ontariotrap.com. That's the website, and there's email address there that will also reach me. So anytime, I love to hear from people.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. This is fantastic.
Awesome. Yes, it was a lot of fun.
And I can't wait to see you soon, hopefully.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, all.
Thanks, Emily. Now I want to go shoot my shotgun.
I know, eh?
Well, you could have 2 meters between you and the person that's throwing your clays, or you could get one of them clay throwers and just be by yourself. So
that's the argument, right? I know. I went out with Phil O'Dell. That was the last shooting day I went. I didn't introduce him to trap shooting, but I took him out and we had a couple of rounds of trap. And then that was the Sunday. And then Monday, school was canceled, work was canceled. That's it. Yeah. So our spring, summer semester at university is going to be online until September at the earliest. So
okay.
I love that schools are doing online courses. It makes I can't help but think about all the Ontario teacher protests, and I'm like, oh, this is just delicious.
High school teachers are resisting, and now they're getting a lot of pushback from parents going, listen, you gotta teach my kids, man.
Oh, it's delicious, and it sustains me. Their tears sustain me.
Yep. And they sure signed their contracts fast, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, but right now everybody just wants their job, basically.
Yeah,
basically.
Dave, where are you sitting?
I am located in my basement in Wasaga Beach, Ontario.
Wasaga Beach, that's awesome. Right? How about you, Adriel?
I'm in Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh,
or Knob Creek.
Yeah.
And, okay.
And Trevor, he is from Campbellton, Brunswick. So we're right across the country.
Yeah. Home of the world's greatest dipstick range.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or pizza. Or
and just across the river, there's a bridge there, and you go across the bridge, and there's a poutine place right on the other side, and oh my God,
road trip.
Come to Campbellton. Yeah.
They're doing takeout and delivery.
Come on out to the charity shoot.
Yeah, why don't we so I'm going to we're still live, so we're going to get started with the rest of the show, but I'm going to send you a message. Maybe we can look at hooking up sometime soonish, but we have to get all the all clear, and the ranges have to be open, and so why don't we plan something? We can plan a ladies' day again here later in the year, actually, if maybe we can look at doing the Gunny Girl calendar then too.
It'd be fabulous. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Great being on the show.
Bye, Emily.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right. Thanks again, Emily, for coming on the show. Really great information. And if anybody's interested in trying out Trap or talking to her about trying to get a club into your local university or college, send her a message. She'll be happy to talk with you. So, all right. Let's get into listener feedback. Anybody?
Actually, there's been a couple of comments on Facebook there. Let me just pull some of them up. That's interesting. I can't.
Awesome.
No. Luke was asking if I'm streaming my games. Not yet, because I suck, but I might. And then people can just watch me flounder around and get smoked. That's cool.
That's always hilarious.
I don't think that you're as bad as you say.
I wouldn't say I'm good, but I'm getting better now. I had one match last night where I rolled a bunch of people. I was like, yeah, but then I also had matches where I went in and after 5 minutes I got domed from somewhere. I don't even know. someone just smokes me in the head from somewhere and he can't
Probably
see
a 12-year-old in Alabama.
Russia. 12-year-old in Russia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah.
When you
that's
do
what
have
they
that
do.
one game that you cannot be touched for no apparent reason, and you get that godlike feeling where you're just mowing people down effortlessly. That's a great feeling.
Jesus.
Isn't it?
Awesome.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Love that.
Oh, the game's
Okay.
really realistic. You got you can mod guns and whatever. Yeah, maybe I'll live
Yeah.
stream some stuff because what else am I doing?
You're doing these shows every night.
I play video games afterwards. So all I need to do is be like, stream to Hunting Gear Guy, and this is not
Yeah.
Hunting Gear Guy, but watch me suck at this video game. That'll be fun.
By the way, your wife is a saint, I must say.
Mhm, mhm.
All right. Let's do listener
She has her automatic furnace vent thing now, so she just
Oh yeah.
That thing is working so good. That thing is so good. That automatic furnace thing that I made, it's 21.4 in here right now. Usually,
You should post the specs for that and people can copy it.
I made a video.
Oh,
Put it on
well,
YouTube.
good.
How to make
Good.
your own. Mhm.
Is which on Hunting Gear?
Yeah.
Okay, go to the Hunting Gear guy.
It's
YouTube
very. It
and-
does not fit the rest of the video. The rest of the videos are all like gun reviews, and it's like, let's do some nerd stuff and like make this automatic vent thing.
But it works and it's fantastic and Adriel's so happy, right?
Yes. Yep.
You're warmer. Do you like it warmer or hot? Never mind.
Just
mind. I'm
consistent.
yeah.
Consistent. Like it. Like
All
I had a 6-degree swing before. Now
Mhm.
it stays within about 3 degrees, which is as good as it's going to get for a room
Yeah.
like this. Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's it. Okay. Yeah, let's get into listener
Oh,
feedback.
there was some more
What?
questions.
Okay.
One guy was asking if you are doing. Sorry, I can't see all the comments. I can only see the latest 4, so that's why I can't get to them. But one person was asking if you have reloaded any 28 gauge yet.
No, because I'm saying that I need to actually get a die for the. I just opened it, literally today. So no, I need to get the die first, and then I need to obviously get the components. So if anybody has a die or they know where I can get a die for the Mech Junior for 28 gauge, let me know. Send me a message, and I'll get it. So, or I'm going to do some more research as well. Go look online.
Just
I
get
don't
the
know.
die and just start cranking on it.
Yeah.
Whoa, that looks like a lot of pellets in there, but whatever. It'll fit as soon as I ram it in there.
I'm sure that we're going to have to do some Tesla. Tesla.
No.
Pretty sure you just
Yeah.
top her off with powder, shake a little off the top, put some shot on, and then crimp it, and you're good.
Yeah.
If you can't fit all the shot in, just take the wad out. Just
Okay.
powder and then put the pellets right on
Perfect.
top.
Oh, nice. Load some dimes in there too. Oh wait, that won't work. You have to get some very small dimes, some washers or something. I don't know.
28 gauge, yeah.
You shoot ski
Yeah.
with washers,
I'm just thinking, what else can I put in there? No, just kidding. All right.
forks, spoons.
Fork spoons. No. Okay. So listener feedback. Let's get on to that. So Armory listener feedback sponsored by Armory DC Gunsmith. Fantastic. By the way, order from him. Armory DC Gunsmith is a full service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot bluing, parkerizing, and Cerakote finishes, as well as wood refinishing. Check out his online inventory of new and used guns, firearms, accessories, optics, and more at dcgunsmith.ca.
And he's got AR-10 mags in the
Yes,
10
he does.
And very
He's got
few
some-
people have those.
By the way, he's
Running
got
out.
some really good sales on right now. You really got to check them out. And he'll ship them out too. Like, as I said, he shipped out from Campbellton, New Brunswick, which is the middle of nowhere, right?
Mhm.
On the Friday morning. And I received it, the rifle, on Tuesday morning. Like, seriously. By the way, the Canada Post
Mhm.
ding dong doorbell. I didn't hear it because I was in the shower. I come downstairs, I'm feeding the dogs, I'm doing all kinds of stuff, and then I look at my phone and it says somebody rang your doorbell 2 hours ago. I go out and there's a rifle on my porch.
I had a
C'est la vie.
couple deliveries from UPS, and they didn't. They said signature required. Yeah, they didn't stop for signature. They just dropped them on the door and ran.
No.
I'm going, oh
whatever.
crap. I'm so happy.
Does that mean you can skip the signature when you actually mail it out? Because they're not even going to ask for it.
They're supposed to.
Nope, they're
Yeah,
not
not
doing
now.
it right now.
No, I know. But they're doing like dashing,
Whatever.
Mm.
right?
So if you're going to send
Dump
a
and
rifle to
dash.
someone, could you just do regular parcel?
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
You're
get
not
a
you're not doing
signature,
your
then you
part, but
then you give
they're
them
also
crap
not
if it
doing their part.
disappears.
No, but if something happens and it disappears, you're not going to be
Mhm.
well. You're there. It's bad if it disappears, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So at least
How many
you're supposed to
guns do the cops lose every year? Come on, it's not such a big deal.
I had many years ago, I had an AR-15 arrive at my house, but it arrived early and nobody was home for the weekend. So it sat there from Friday morning until Monday morning, just sitting on the front of the porch on a corner of property,
Oh
leaning against the
God.
post. Nobody took it. I was shocked.
And the boxes are generally shaped as they're gun box, right? People.
Yeah.
People don't
Yeah.
know what they are. You do
No.
not know what a gun box is when you're looking at a gun box unless you're a gun person.
I didn't say Amazon, so maybe that's why it didn't get stolen, but I was shocked that it sat there for that long. I guess honest neighbors.
Yeah. I'm surprised your neighbors didn't take it in and then give it to you.
Yeah, no, it just sat there.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So why don't you take this one, Adriel, from Dwayne, because it's really long and you're a fantastic reader.
I like that my skills on this show are you read real good. I can read. Hello, guys. Gender neutral term. Gender neutral.
Thank you.
I think it's a gender neutral term as well. I use it as such.
Yeah, I
It is
do
these
too.
days.
I am not sure if you're looking for content during your isolation period. Oh, we are.
No, go away.
Yes.
But I've been listening
end.
to you for a few years now, and I've come to respect and value your opinions on guns, especially because of your Canadian perspective. As a result, I would appreciate your thoughts on the best approach would be in dealing with a surplus Browning high power I purchased a few months ago. I'd always wanted one, but I had a hard time justifying the cost of a new one. I was a little leery about taking a chance on a surplus one, as it's hard to say what the condition will be in, but they were recently on sale at FOC, and I decided it was worth the risk. The gun I got is in pretty good shape. There was a tiny bit of rust on the frame, slide and barrel, but I was able to remove most of it with some simple soak and polish with an SOS pad. The bore looked good and was pretty clean as well. But as you can see, the finish is pretty marked up, and I'd like to ask you what you would do to refurbish the pistol. I've considered rebluing it or Cerakoting in a color that duplicates the original high power bluing, which you guys had discussed with regard with some other firearms a few episodes back. I'm leaning towards the Cerakote route, but I'm open to some suggestions. Or am I throwing money away by even doing something like this? Here are my questions. Which route of refinishing would you suggest or recommend? Do you have any gunsmiths in Ontario you'd recommend? How do I go about getting the gun to someone reputable to do the work, especially in this complicated time we're going through? Do I need to get an ATT to send away, or is the one attached to my RPAL sufficient enough to send it? Any thought and advice would be appreciated. Apologies if some of the questions seem a little bit elementary, but I'm fairly new to the scene, so I'm still learning the ropes. Thanks for your time and keep up the good work. We appreciate your efforts in getting the podcast out and advocating for our sport. Take care of yourself. So back to his first question. Which route of refinishing would you suggest or recommend?
Well, Trevor's not on, but
Well, so imagine this was your gun.
Yep.
Which route of refinishing would you suggest or recommend?
if he wants to refinish it, he wants to refinish it, obviously. He doesn't want to keep it as is, right?
Well,
This is what he's saying.
there's still some other questions we could ask. We could ask, how much do you want to spend? How badly do you want it to look the original? How original do you want it to look? Because some of them might be cheap and quick. Some of them are going to cost a bit more. I feel like buffing the rust out and rebluing would be a more costly thing to do than just Cerakote. But it would be a more original look, and it would probably wear a bit better in some things, right?
Right. So Browning High Powers, Canadian military, FOC had a bunch of them. So did SFRC, but they're all in pretty good shape. So I don't know. Keep it.
I agree blue, but
I would recommend keeping the original, but Cerakoting. If he wants to use it and he's going to use it and abuse it, then Cerakote it.
Yeah, I'd say too. What are you going to spend on it, and what's the gun worth? And then what's the gun worth to you? I mean, you don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on it that puts your price up to, near a new gun. So it depends on what you paid for it and what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, If it's just going to be a showpiece, then Cerakote would be fine because it doesn't matter.
Yep.
If it's going to be a showpiece that you want as original as possible, then rebluing, or just shoot it. Like I've tended to buy more used guns recently because unless I have to review it. But if I want to like personally own a gun, I would rather just buy used because a lot of the time you save a fortune buying used. And there's nothing wrong with them. Like guns are made, like a pistol will go like hundreds of thousands of rounds. So like what do most people shoot their pistols for? 500 rounds, maybe 2,000 rounds, barely even breaking them in. So I think that you like buying used and using used guns is fine. And I think if they're a little bit scratched up or if they're a little bit rusty or whatever, then I don't have to worry if I scratch it. If I refinished that pistol for myself and then I scratched it, putting it down on a table or something like that, I would be upset with myself because I would be like, man, that was a $300 refinishing job I had to put into that thing.
Right. And this is a surplus. Like, let's be real too, right?
I have a 1911 I was going to refurbish and because it's all scuffed up and beat up and it's got holster wear on it. And then I was thinking, well, who cares? Exactly. I'm going to throw it in a barrel or leave it sitting on a rock or something and I'm going to scratch the crap out of it anyway. So whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't want to
always ask Denis though.
Yeah. Denis on watching.
Yep.
Hi, Denis. What's your recommendation, Denis?
Okay, we'll wait.
Denis. I know.
There's a 1 minute delay on our video, and
so he says gunsmiths in Ontario that you recommend. Like
Casey
I have
at Tackord.
Sorry.
Casey at Tackord. He's pretty awesome. I've heard a few people have dealt with him.
And SFRC has Dave, who actually is a certified gunsmith and does the refinishing as well. But we would recommend highly, like, for example, sending it off to Denis because, you know what, he's sponsoring this part of the show. But not only that, he does a fantastic job with rebluing, or he does a fantastic job with Cerakoting. And
I'm just looking at the pictures he's got here. It looks like there's I'm not sure if it's rust or if it's scratches in the finish. I wonder if this thing wasn't refinished at one point poorly, and that's what we're seeing the scratches in. There's somewhere around like the...
He buffed it with a little bit of SOS, but that's like...
It looks like scrapes out of the... Yeah, it's hard to tell. I would ask a gunsmith about this. He's got good pictures. I would just send that to a gunsmith, be like, yo, how much to blue this, how much to Cerakote it. Denis does both of those. You don't have to do it in province. Guy. Like in terms of you will. Okay, so on to question 3 there. He's saying, do I need an ATT to send it away? You need an ATT to get it to the mail, the post office.
Yep.
After that, you're covered. So you just need to be able to get to the post office. And then, am I right in saying that?
Yep, you are correct.
Yes. Because you can take a restricted to a gunsmith, but
it's attached.
You won't have you will need an ATT to the post office. You won't need one for him to mail it back to you. So easy peasy. Just need an ATT there. I'm trying to think of
stupider laws.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of transfer or anything like that. I don't think any of that stuff's required because it's not actually transferring it.
No, he's just going to a gunsmith and having it worked on.
Short-term ATT to Canada Post, and away you go.
Bob's your uncle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Yep. All right.
And since you're mailing it anyways, you might as well just mail it to someone that's going to do it cheap and good.
Yep.
Denis is an awesome guy.
Yep.
Give him some business.
All right. Ginger Snap, you're up there, Dave. Can you read this?
Is that a hypothetical question or like a...
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Do you have it open?
March 24th, midweek podcast was a real dude. Of course I do. I'm always prepared. Excellent. I was working with Shure earphones in, listening to my 17th favorite podcast, Slamfire Radio. 17 firearms podcasts? Okay. And oh boy, at the end of the podcast, I was ready for the world to end. My panic set up. My blood pressure was up. Blood pressure up check, head running million miles an hour check, looking around and seeing normal looking people being sketchy like meth heads in a downtown Miramichi check. I was not prepared as well as I should be. Time to make a list of the 3 Gs, groceries, gear, and guns. I was concerned about Trevor's well-being, and I had no time to contact Trevor and ask how he's doing. Figured the RCMP would check on him soon enough, and I would hear about it on the Slamfire news section.
We're actually reaching out to him though and asking how he was. Like seriously.
Fast forward a week, off the rocker,
All right.
on edibles, cursing and swearing on the podcast because he doesn't own a bike. LMO, Frosty, good, great job on the editing and the go button moment. Trevor, like all of New Brunswick residents, doesn't need a bike. They need a car to get groceries and everything 15 minutes with no traffic. I'm down to 7 with all the unnecessary people staying home. It's freaking awesome. Wish people would stay home more often. I hear you there. When you arrive from out of province, the sign should be welcome to New Brunswick, where driving is a right, not a privilege. I'm glad you're okay, Trevor, or are you? Da da da.
Da, da, da.
He's not on tonight. I don't know.
Da, da,
Trevor's
da.
listening.
Yeah, he is.
Mhm.
All
He's
right.
listening. He's our favorite listener. Love that Trevor guy.
Very engaged. Yeah.
He is. Kind of weird though, eh? Because when you're in bigger
Trevor?
city,
Bad.
no, yeah, he's kind of weird too. But when you're in bigger cities like Edmonton, even like Kingston, we're all saying, okay, just get on a. You don't need a car. You can use public transportation, get on a bike, whatever. Trevor's going, no, I need a car.
Yeah, hobos use public transportation. Plus, during our current crisis, public transportation is a horrible idea.
Oh, their
I
stars are
agree with
still
you
running.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
They may be running, but it's still a horrible idea. What do you put, like a 40-foot bus? You've got like 3 people on it?
One at the front. No.
Exactly.
One about a third of the way down behind, like, because there's the driver. You got a third of the way down, middle, and then the end. Yeah. About
One
3.
person standing at each door.
Yes. So we have the express buses. I drove by yesterday and I saw one person standing at the express. I'm going, oh, okay. Not a lot of people are taking public transportation right now. Everybody's staying
I
home.
normally don't blame them at all, and I especially don't blame them now.
No. All right. That is it for that's it for our emails. If you would like to send an email to Slamfire Radio, send it to slamfireradio@gmail.com. We'll talk about your emails and probably not give you an answer because sometimes we just don't know. All right. Podcast reviews, don't have any of those. Patreon supporters, no new ones. So if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, go on over to patreon.com and go and search out Slamfire Radio. We'd love to have you come on board. Support us so that we can actually put out this content. We've been putting out a lot of it lately, so
Mhm.
we need to feed the hamsters.
Get your
basically.
dollar's worth.
You betcha.
Mhm.
All right. Some of the other things that you can do is also you can show your love by going over to our website. And if you click on the link for Cabela's, if you're going to purchase stuff from Cabela's anyways, like that ammo and, a new rifle because it's the end of the world, just go on over and visit our website, click on the Cabela's link, and then they'll actually send us some money as well. That's awesome.
They have order in store right now. So you go on online, you order your stuff, and you say pick up in store, and then you can
Which is free, by the way.
yeah, and then
They
you
don't
just
charge you
drive
anything
up
extra
and
for it.
just get it, and
Yeah.
you don't have to go inside.
Nope.
Which
It's
I kind
awesome.
of like going
Cool.
inside, but I guess.
Yeah. Who was I
I
talking
like
to
having a
recently
wander
that is
environment.
still working at Cabela's? They said it's kind of like it's weird lately. Cabela's are super busy. Anyways,
Oh yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's that time of the show. Time to say goodbye to everybody. Good night.
Goodbye, everyone.
No. What's that song that they sing?
That's what I've been thinking. I could afford one if I did just a little less drinking.
Oh yeah.
Put some
No, Dave, stop.
between me and the sun when the talking is over.
Okay, I need you to sign off. Then you can sing. How's that? Okay.
Oh man, that's creepy. That is so creepy.
See, if you become a Patreon and give us some money, I won't do that again.
There you go. All right. So join one of our national firearms associations. I actually just segued into the closing. So such as the CCFR, we'll actually just join the CCFR, especially right now.
Yes.
They need to get some memberships going. Also, check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. We have a thread there. Generally, I post on there, and we've been getting some actually comments on there. So fantastic! Thank you for chatting us up on there. Also, give us a like over on Facebook as well. 2,382 is our current amount. That was updated today, and apparently we're bigger than some orphanages in some countries, someplace I don't know anywhere. Where
Hopefully we get their funding.
Yeah.
Sorry, channeling Trevor there for a second.
Yeah. So we need to pick a bigger goal. Just think about it for next week. Let's see what we can actually, maybe an orphanage here in like a non-third world country. How about that?
We'll take down the classy orphanages. All right.
Okay. Anyways, have a really good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. And as I said, we, if you want to give us some show topics or anything that you'd like to talk about or hear about on our mini episodes, let us know. Now, Dave, you can start singing.
Oh, I closed the lyrics. What the hell? Put me on that. Okay.
You haven't memorized them?
Damn it. No, not really.
Okay.
I can't sing it.
Let's do it on the next show then.
So why don't we just say good night, everybody?
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Time to get a good.
So if you have any comments or questions for the show, please send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Now go grab a gun and shoot something.
When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.